time no see. So today I'm dealing with a lot of technology, so fingers crossed that everything goes according to plan. We're talking iMovie today, you guys. So if you've ever used iMovie before, but you're still a little confused about it, awesome. If you've never touched iMovie before, but you want to try, even better. If you don't know what iMovie is, then come on in. I would love to share some expertise on editing videos. So I'm going to give it a few seconds here, make sure we're all set up. Like I said, iMovie is a really great tool to start editing videos. So when I started doing videos for the library like 4 years ago, I started using iMovie because it was really easy. You kind of get the concept of video editing without it giving you too many options, which was perfect for me because I don't have a video editing background. That's not where I came from. But once you learn iMovie a little bit, and if you are looking for those next steps, then you might want to branch out and try some different software, something with a little more pop. The Adobe Suite has some really great video editing software. We actually use one at the library called Camtasia. It's a little cheaper. It's kind of like a knockoff version of the Adobe stuff, but it's definitely a step up. So I am actually kind of taking a step back into iMovie, so bear with me and be patient with me. But we're going to learn together. And so what I thought would be the best thing to do today is, instead of showing you where all the buttons are and letting you know how to do it, I'm going to edit a video on the fly for you guys. And so hopefully hopefully that ends up looking okay, and I'm hoping that we're not getting too big of a glare on the screen. I'm refreshing one of my laptops here real quick. I want to make sure that, oh yeah, there's 28 people watching. Cool, hi guys. So we're going to jump into iMovie. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to edit a video on my MacBook. So if you've got a Mac, that's awesome. I'm going to show you how to edit a video on here. And then about halfway through, I'm going to switch over to my iPhone because you have iMovie on your iPhone as well. Now, it doesn't give you the same options as you would on your MacBook, but you're still able to edit videos on your phone as well. So if you have an iPhone but you don't have an Apple laptop, that's okay. You can still do it on your phone. So I will teach you how to do that as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open iMovie. I've already got it open because I've been doing this for a minute. And you've got these options, right? So these videos you can see are videos that I've already created. So this is your library. Gotta love a library. But this box right here with the plus sign, that's how we're going to create a new movie. So I'm going to click on that button here. And I know this is really tiny, but I'll tell you what it says. So it gives you two options. Do you want to make a movie, or do you want to create a trailer? So I always make a movie. The trailer is a little like Hollywood. It's a little flashy for me. The movie option gives you the option to upload clips, trim them, add music, do everything you want to do. It definitely gives you a lot more options that way. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to click on the movie option. And this is it, guys. I mean, we're in the video editing software right here. So real quick tutorial, just show you kind of what you're seeing here. You've got your different folders on your computer over here. This black screen right here, this is where you're going to be able to see the clips. So when you want to edit, or you want to see what clips you're currently sectioned off on, that's going to appear right here. So if you want to play what you've got, this is where you're going to be looking. Right here, it says import media. That's where that button is. So if we click on this button, that's how we're going to upload those clips that we want to play around with. And once we upload clips in here, this down here is going to be like your timeline. So we're going to pull clips from this section here, and we're going to start putting them in down here. So the cool thing is that we don't necessarily have to do this in order. We can start from the very last clip we want to use. It's not necessarily how my brain functions. I like to think things chronologically, but you've got the option to move things around. So don't worry about if you bring a clip down and you're like, oh, I don't want that one to be the first one. It's okay. We can edit from there. So That's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and import some media here. So I'm gonna be clicking on this button. I gotta get rid of that window too. So it's gonna bring up a file basically. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my device. Let's see. Go through. Let's start with my downloads. And I've got a folder here with all the clips that I already want. So it's called Cafe Corazon. And I'm going to click on that, see that it's highlighted. It's a folder with all of the clips that I want. Now, if you see the random clips that you want, you can select those as well. But because I've already got my folder ready, I'm going to go ahead and import my selected folder. And there are all my clips. So if I hover over any one of these clips, I can see it bigger on this side. Great, because I have terrible eyesight. And I'll be able to see those things a little better when they're a little bigger. So that's just hovering. Now if I click on it, I'm ready to do an action with it. So I see this. That might not be my first clip that I want to put on there. Let's see. There's so many great options. Side note, if anyone's ever been to Cafe Corazon, it's one of my favorite coffee shops in the Kansas City metro. It is so good. So I'm lucky that I've got a lot of footage of them. So I'm going to go ahead and, I like this coffee cup. Let's start with the coffee cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that. I'm going to click in on it and I'm going to hold that down and I'm going to drag it down to my timeline here. So it tells me that it's a 5-second clip approximately. And it looks really, really long on here. Let me get rid of that pop-up real quick. Okay, so this seems really, really long, and it'd be really hard to look at once we start putting a bunch of clips together. There's a little sliding scale right over here that's going to let this shrink up a little bit so we can see it on a wider scale. So I've shortened it up a little bit. This is the full 5 seconds of that video. So let me just play that from the beginning. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my cursor and I'm going to move it to the beginning of that clip. And there's a yellow line here that shows you where you are in your video. So once I click on that, I can come over here and press the play button. So I picked this clip on purpose. Let me refer back to, I am not a videography expert, therefore I still put my finger in the lens sometimes. So we're going to edit that out, which is going to be really fun, but you can also hear the background noise, right? So if you are uploading clips that you want the audio included, great. You can leave it there and you don't have to mess with it at all. But I'm going to take all of the audio out of all of these clips and I'm going to put some music behind it instead. So the way I'm going to do that, there's this little blue section down here at the bottom of this clip, and you can see that it's the audio. And there's a little tiny line that shows you like what level that volume is at. It's going to default to 100%. Now that might seem like really, really loud. It's just normal volume. 100, you can bump it up to like 300%. If you are videoing somebody who maybe speaks a little softer, you need to amplify their voice a little bit so you can make that louder. But I'm going to take it out. So I'm going to hover over that little tiny white line right here. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag that line down. So now if I go back to the beginning of my clip and I play it, complete silence, which is what I was after. So I told you that we're going to edit that thumb out of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my image here, my clip, and I know this is really hard to see because it's very, very tiny on this screen, but there is a button right up at the top here that looks like your clip, how you're going to edit that video. So we're going to crop it out, and that's kind of the international symbol for like cropping something, right? I'm going to click on that, and what's cool about iMovie is it's going to default to a few things. Right now it's defaulted to the fit style, so it's completely filling up the entire dimensions of the video. But I'm going to click on crop to fill, and that's going to give me my little crop bars on the side. Now the cool thing is that it's not going to let you crop it so that you get like a square, it's going to keep the right dimensions. So I'm just going to drag this down a little bit, and I'm going to move that square by just holding and dragging that across. And now you can't see my thumb as bad. So that was it. I mean, that was really easy. Now if I go to the beginning of this clip again, I'm a little more zoomed in, but that's okay. Because now we can see the beautiful coffee cup and the logo there. So if I play on that, we can see the hovering, and we can see the zoom out of that image without the thumb in the shot. So that's our first clip. We've already done it. Yay! Like, that wasn't so hard, right? Let's see. So the next thing I want to talk about is adding titles. So you've got a couple options here. I can put a title directly on this clip, but I kind of like the way this looks without a title. But just for the sake of teaching you guys how to use it, I'm going to throw a title on top of there. So you've got your options up here as well. Right now we're under My Media. So what I'm looking at are all the clips that I've uploaded. I can also go over here to Audio. We'll get to that in a little bit. And then the next one's called Titles. And it is going to give you a billion options on the different kind of text that you want to put on your clips. And there's, like I said, there's so many options on here. Some of them move, some of them don't, some of them are very plain, some of them have like special effects. So I suggest playing around with some of those. Some of them are really, really like specific. Like there's like pink sparkles on one of them, maybe not super conducive to like what we're doing here. There's also like the Star Wars text, you know, so the text kind of getting bigger and fading into the background. So the Star Wars version of stuff, again, not really relevant to what we're doing here. But if I wanted to add some text here, oh, see, there's my Star Wars stuff. But if I wanted to add some text, what I might do is pick one. This one's on the standard lower side here. So that might work for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to drag it down. And I'm going to put that starting at the very beginning of my clip. Now, it's not its own separate clip, right? It's just like a little tag on top of the clip we already have. So it's going to default to about a 4-second, but we know that this clip is about 5 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the end of this, and I'm going to drag it over and make it longer so it fits the entire clip. And then I'm going to double click on this little blue bar right here because it says title text here. Well, I don't need my title to be title text here, right? We want to make sure that we personalize it. So then I can come over here, double click on that, and we can say Hannah's movie, and we can give it a little subtitle. What a day. Those are my dogs barking outside. I'm not sure if you can hear them. They definitely don't like being left outside. So we've got my text here. Now you're probably saying, okay, well, Hannah, that's a white cup and white text. I can't see it very well. Good eye, guys. So what we can do is we can edit this text. I can highlight this, and you've got a little text box up at the top. And once this is highlighted, which it already is, but we can change the font. So I've got a font drop-down box. I can choose a different font. So let's do Copperplate. Sounds fine. And because only that first line is highlighted, we're only editing that top line. So I would need to either select both of them or do one at a time. And I can make it a little bigger as well. So it's at 70 right now. Let's bring it up to 102. And then over here, I've got the box that I can change the color of that text. So let's change it to, what about some orange? We've got some orange in our shot there. So let's do that. Yeah, and so we've got, if I click off this, let me get rid of my color box over here. Now we've got something a little highlighted. So that's an option for your title. I don't love this title on this image, especially because we've already got something that we're looking at right in the middle there. So if I already have text, people are going to read that. But if I add more text, it's confusing for the eye to look at. So they don't, a 5-second clip, they're probably able to read everything on there, but we want to make sure that the video is still beautiful and it maintains like an aesthetically pleasing nature. So I'm actually going to get rid of this title on top of this, and I'm going to add it to the very beginning on like a black background. So I'm going to select my blue text box over here that I've added, and I'm just going to delete it. So my other option is, let's look at some of these. Bouncing around a little bit. What about that one? This one's called Reveal. So what I can do is I'm dragging this right now. This is what we did before, is we've attached it to that first clip. We can see that right here. But if I move it even further over to the left, it becomes bigger and it becomes its own separate clip. So I'm going to drop it there. And now I've got the option to name it nice and big on its own separate screen. And we know that it's going to default to about 4 seconds. Kind of long. People can read Hannah's movie pretty quickly. And I can drag and edit my clip that way. So I might put it at about 3 seconds. That sounds good to me. You might be like, okay, well, Hannah, what's the difference between 3 seconds and 4 seconds? A lot. Definitely, trust me on that one. So we're able to kind of see the animation that it's got there. So let's see what we have so far. Hannah's movie, and there's a little movement there, and then we cut into our coffee shot. So there we are. We've got a title, we've got our little coffee cup. Next thing to do is to add more media, right? So I'm going to go back over to my media, because I'm still under titles right now. So I'm going to go to my media, and it's going to bring up all my shots again. So let's see, what else? I've got my coffee shop. Cafe Corazon has a lot of really awesome merchandise. So I'm going to showcase some of the stuff that they offer in their shop. So there's some coffee beans that you can buy, some awesome blends there. Now this is, let's see, this clip is about 5.5 seconds. So that might be a little long. I'm gonna drag that to about 4.5 seconds. And again, let me show you from here. We've got the audio with it again, so I need to make sure to take that audio away. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on my blue box down here. I've got my line, I'm gonna drag it down so that there's 0% audio. And now I've got my nice and silent video. So we can see some of the blends they have there. I can come back up here and show you some of the other stuff they've got. This is a view of their shelves with a bunch of really fun stuff. I'm going to take the audio out again. So let me pull that down. And what about some of these tasty treats? So this is a 10-second video, so I'm definitely going to want to cut some of this out. But you can see that they had some cookies that you could buy there, Chiefs inspired, of course. And then we kind of zoomed out a little bit there. So I'm going to first take off the audio, and I'm going to scroll over a little bit. And I'm going to cut a little from the beginning this time. So I'm going to hover on the beginning of my clip. I'm going to hold down, and I'm going to drag it over. So I know this is really hard to see, but this clip started off at about 10 seconds. And if I keep dragging, that number gets smaller and smaller. So I'm going to start at the 8-second mark. And then I'm going to cut a little from the end too. And I'm going to make this clip maybe a 6-second clip. So let's see what we've got from the beginning here. This is something that I do all the time. I add clips and then I watch the entire thing again, because you will be able to tell from a creative standpoint what clips work, what transitions work, and what clips might be a little too long or a little too short. So that's probably one of the biggest tips when it comes to editing any video whatsoever, is always check yourself. So the last thing you want to do is go through and edit a bunch of clips, put them all together without watching what it looks like. So we want to make sure that we are being consistent in our feedback. So we've got the title that comes up, we've got our coffee cup, Cafe Corazon, how interesting. And see, that clip might have been a little long. This one as well. We see what it is. That's a nice short clip, so that might be a good one to have. And then we can kind of see some of the cookies there, and we expand out so we can see more of their selection. So I like this for the most part. What I want to do is edit this coffee cup clip just a little bit to make it a little shorter. So I'm going to take a little from the end and a little from the beginning. And the same thing with this clip here. I'm going to select that and take a little off the end and a little off the beginning. See, if only we could do this with our weight, just take a little off and slide a little over every now and then, the world would be a better place, right? Definitely easier to edit videos than select our own weight, but what are you gonna do? So we've got our, we've got a few clips here. I really like this clip. Actually, I like their menu. Let's throw their menu on there. That is a nice little 5-second clip. I'm gonna cut that down to about 4.5 seconds. Take my audio out. And then I'm going to, this is probably one of my favorite clips here, is the wall outside of their little coffee shop. So there's some really awesome art on the side of their building. And once we can kind of see the end of this video, we've got the name of the coffee shop there on the brick building. So this would be a really great spot to maybe end our video. This is only a 30-second video, you guys. So when you're thinking about social media and promotional videos, and if you're doing something like this, which is very visual and there's not a lot of audio behind it, then you want to keep it nice, short, and sweet. Another great thing that you can do with shorter videos are do ads on Facebook. So if you are looking to create an ad on Facebook but you want to use a video, the visual stuff is going to be great for you. Once you start putting some audio behind there, we know that only 85% of Facebook videos watch with the sound off, which is terrifying. So we want to make sure that when we are using audio behind it, it's very purposeful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this clip down just a little bit from the beginning so that it's not too long. And again, we're going to watch that, see what we've got there. Go ahead and click play from the beginning. We see Hannah's movie. It's going to go away. It's going to kind of come to our coffee cup here, which is going to show us some of the awesome blends that we can get, which is going to show us all of the different merchandise we can find. Get an awesome Chiefs-inspired cookie, or maybe one of their other pastries. But oh my gosh, look at this entire menu. It's so big and awesome. What are you going to get? And this is why we watch it, right? Because I forgot to take the audio out. So it's going to automatically stop. I'm reminded, okay, let's take the audio out of that clip. And we've got our nice 30-second video. So another thing I want to do is add some transitions between these clips. Because we can see that from this clip, the coffee cup clip, there's no transition, right? It just goes right into the next one. Now, that's definitely a choice that you can make. I like doing those hard cuts sometimes too, but you also have this option up here that says transitions. And if I click on that, it's going to give me, again, a ton of options on how I want things to transition from one clip to the next. So there's a lot of options. There's like blurring stuff out. There's fading to black and then back in from black. There's fading to white and then back in from white. There's like a checkerboard thing where you can kind of flip a lot of stuff around. So let me just show you a few options. One of my favorite is the fade to white. And I'm going to add these transitions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it here. I'm going to drag it down and I'm going to put it between the clips. So instead of adding something on top, I'm going to add it between because it is a transition. And I'm going to do that on just a few of these clips and I want to see what that looks like. So let's play it from the beginning. So we can see Hannah's movie. There's the fade to white. There's the fade to white. And there's the fade to white. So those are the transitions we just put in. That's how to add transitions. I'm going to go ahead and take those out because I kind of do like the hard cut when you're talking about something a little shorter. One of my favorite tricks for using transitions is that if you are videoing yourself or someone else in an interview type style video, people mess up a lot when they're talking, especially when they're on camera. It freaks them out a little bit. And so a good transition is an easy way to cut a clip and then go to the next one without it looking like too choppy. I don't know if I explained that well enough. But we know that people are not always able to eloquently speak for as many minutes as we need them to speak. So transitions give you a little buffer there in terms of making everything flow a little better. So you've got the option to use some of these transitions, play around with them. Some of them are going to work better than others. You know, there's this mosaic is, I don't want to call it ugly because that seems rude, but it's definitely a stylistic choice. You see that movement right there? I'll show it to you again. You know, if it works for you, it works for you. I like to keep everything nice and simple. So I'm going to take all of our transitions out, but we know that we can do that. So we can let's click on our coffee cup again. Now I've already trimmed this one up a little bit. If I wanted to play with the color a little bit, I've got lots of options over here. So I can go to a color correction and I can make this brighter. I can make it darker. I can come over here and do a color balance. Another fun thing that you can do is clip speed. So this one is a nice, I mean, it's a normal size, normal clip speed, but I can speed it up. I can freeze frame it. I can slow it down. So if you're doing this on your phone and you already have clips that you've maybe used a time lapse or a slow-mo function on your phone, then you probably don't really need to mess with it on here. But if you've taken a really long video that's at a normal pace, but you want to speed it up a little bit, then you've got the option on iMovie to do that. But I kind of like, you know, how everything looks here, so I'm not going to mess with that either. Again, I can mess with some of my, like I can do some filters on here. This is all stuff that you're going to want to play around with. But, so the next thing I'm going to want to do is add some music. So I'm going to go back over here to audio. And it's going to default to whatever you have in your iTunes because we are talking Apple products, right? So it's going to default to your iTunes. But another thing you can do is select some classical music. That is pretty much default on all iMovie. We can come over here to sound effects, which is kind of fun if you want to play around with a bunch of stuff. But they have a bunch of free sound effects already loaded onto iMovie, which is kind of fun. So there's like some basketball ones, a bark, not doing that or else my dogs will lose their minds. But there's just a ton of different sound effects on here. So if you were doing something where you wanted a sound effect, these are free to use. By all means use those. And they just have a ton of stuff on here. But I'm going to go back to my iTunes and let's see, we can play them before we select them. So let's see what this one sounds like. Nice, easy, happy, works for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that clip and I'm going to drag it down just like I've done everything else. And I'm going to stick that into my music section. So you've got a music section down at the very bottom and that's where I'm going to put my audio. Now let's see what this sounds like with music. So right there, we watched the entire video, right? And that was our last clip, but it kept going. Why? Because this audio clip is like 2.5 minutes long. So if we forget to edit the end of this music, then it's gonna keep going for 2.5 minutes. And you only have the visual portion for about 30 seconds. So you definitely don't wanna neglect the audio. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come down to our audio clip, make sure that it's highlighted, and if we right click or on a Mac you double click, it's going to bring up your options here and we can show split clip, which is what we're after, or we can trim to the playhead. So it will, if we click trim, it's going to trim from the front. I'm going to undo that with my Command Z. We all know how to undo, Command Z. But I'm going to go back here, I'm going to select my clip, I'm going to double click or right click, and I'm going to split this clip. So now we had one long but because we just split it, I split it where my playhead was, or where my cursor was. So now what I can do is select the second one and just delete it. And that way I can make sure that my music ends exactly where I want it to end. All right. Now another fun thing we can do is, perchance, we can kind of let this fade out, let this music fade a little bit. So I'm going to see here. There's my fade. It's really hard to see on this tiny little screen, you guys, but there's a very tiny circle on the end of this line on this audio clip. It's itty bitty, but if I click on that and I drag that over, that's going to help that music fade out a little bit. So let's just watch it from here so you guys can listen to it. And we hear that it faded out. So we might want to stretch that out a little more so it's a little more, it goes a little slower, it doesn't fade out too quick. So I can stretch that over a little more. And now we've kind of got this really awesome video. Now, one of the things that I think is really, really important is to make sure that you've ended your video. So when we watch this, let's watch all the way through. It just stops, right? You can still see the screen. The music's just stopped. It kind of seems like it wasn't finished. That's when we can go back into our transitions. And I'm going to click on transitions right up here. And I'm going to go fade to black. It's my favorite. You can choose whatever you'd like, but I love a fade to black, and I love that on the end of that video. So this is what that's going to look like. And it seems like it's kind of, you're done. You feel comfortable that the video is done, right? So what we've done, now see how I have to scroll back and forth to see the beginning of my video and the end of my video? I can come back over here to my slider, and I can move that a little bit, so now I can see all of my clips on one screen. So what we've done, we've added our clips in, so we've uploaded our media, and we do that under My Media. We've uploaded those images, and we've dragged them down into the play bar. We've added a title, we've trimmed up some of these clips, we've even gotten my big fat thumb out of this one. And then we've added music. We also put a transition there at the end, so we've got a nice fade to black. I'm comfortable with the way that this movie looks. If you're not comfortable with the way the movie looks, let me know in the comments and we can play around with it a little more. But if you're comfortable with it, once you figure out, you're like, all right, this one looks good, I'm ready, let's download it. You've got a little button over here that's your typical upload button. We're going to click on that, and it's going to give you options. Okay, do you want to email this to someone? Do you want to go straight to YouTube with it? Do you want to prepare it for Facebook? You can absolutely do that. My favorite thing to do with iMovie is to just download this as a file to your laptop. That way, if you want to put it on Facebook, you can. If you want to put it on YouTube, you can. But you own that file on your computer. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to download this as a file. I'm going to click on that. Let's name it Hannah's Movie. And then we can describe it if we wanted to. We can play with the resolution, the quality that we want it to upload, and if we want to compress it or not. I'm just going to leave it at the default stuff, nice and high quality. We'll click next. And depending on how cooperative my computer wants to be, this will just download right to my computer. And it seems like it went pretty quickly. And let's see if we can find that in my files. Let's see, documents. There's Hannah's Movie. So we'll click on that. It's going to open up my QuickTime. It's not done downloading yet, which is why we can't watch it. So it'll get there eventually. This is how we're going to edit on a Mac. Now, this was bare bones, you guys. This was as easy as it gets. Play around with it, try different clips, try different filters, try different transitions, use different music with some stuff. There's a ton of stuff that you can do with iMovie on your Mac. Now, a lot of people are probably watching and they're like, I don't have a Mac, but I do have an iPhone. So I'm going to switch over to my iPhone and we are going to edit from there. So bear with me for a second while I get this up and going. And I will try to see if I can find some of these comments on here. You guys, all of these computers and screens in front of me are probably driving me insane. But, you know, we'll deal with that at a different time. Let's see here. Alright. There's my phone. Alright, so I've got my iMovie in one of these folders up here. This is what iMovie looks like on your phone. It's this a little purple app with a star. It's called iMovie. If you can't find it, just search for it on your phone. But I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And it's kind of similar to the function that's on your Mac. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the plus to do a new movie. Same options. Do you want to do a movie or do you want to do a Hollywood style trailer? I default to movie. If you want to try with the trailer option, absolutely go for it. So I'm going to click on movie, and it's going to bring up a bunch of different media. These are the last pictures I've taken, which are really all over the place. But I'm going to go back into my media, and I'm going to go to albums, and I'm going to scroll down here because I already created an album for this video, and it's called Kelly One-on-One. So I'm going to click on the album that I want to upload. Here are all the clips, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and select each one of those. And once they're all selected, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click Create Movie. And here we go. So this is where the phone gets a little different than your laptop. So when I selected all those clips, it went ahead and created the movie for me, transitions and all. So I want to show you a little bit about what that looks like with no editing whatsoever, with just adding those clips. You can hear the audio. There's the transition. Kind of a long clip. We might want to edit that a little bit. And this is going to go on for a while, right? Doesn't look bad, but there's definitely some things that we can do to, help this out a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and pause that. And remember that you're dealing with very tiny screens, so everything you do is going to be a little more difficult just because you're having to do it with your fingers. So I'm going to select, I actually like this first clip, but this clip, I want that to be the last clip. I want that to be the final one. So I'm going to click on that with my finger, and again, I'm just going to hold it, and I'm going to drag it. See that it moves at everything forward, and I'm going to drop that at the end of my video instead. So we've got that. Let's see, this is a pretty good clip here. I might edit, let's trim that up a little bit. So I'm going to select this. I've got my yellow bar, and I can just drag it. And I'm going to select it again, and I'm going to edit it from the back end as well. So it's a little bit of a shorter clip. A lot of these are really similar, so I might actually look at these. These are almost the exact same clip. This one and this one. They're almost the exact same, so I don't need both of those in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this short one, and I'm going to click delete. I don't need that clip in there, so it's going to automatically delete it for you. Then we're going to go through here. I might trim these up a little bit by clicking on that and dragging. And this one's a little long as well, so I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to drag that over from the beginning as well. That one is a really long clip. And if I'm not, if I don't love the way that these are put in there, the order that the clips are in, again, I can, mess with a few things and move those around a little bit. So I actually like this clip as my second clip. So I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to drag it and put it right there in between the first and the third clip. So now, if I want to watch my movie, we're going to have to do something about that audio.
Okay. So then you're going to go to school. Small business.
That would be the internet that just cut out. So hopefully I'm still live. Fingers crossed. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause that real quick. Now we're gonna go through and get rid of that audio. So I'm gonna click on that first clip. There's a little button down here that is your audio button. I'm gonna click on that, and it's your sliding scale, right? It's the default's kind of right there in the middle. I'm gonna drag it all the way to the end so that it's no sound, and I'm gonna do that on all of my clips. So I'm gonna move on my screen. I'm gonna drag it down, drag it, and drag it. So there we are. I'm gonna edit that last clip there so it's a little shorter. Right there's good. This one's a little long. That one's nice. That one's nice. This one's a little long as well. So let's edit this a little bit more, shorten that up. I like nice, quick clips, and I know a lot of other people do too. So that's another tip of video editing, is that you have to ask other people. Sometimes if you get too far involved into your video editing process, you start not being able to see the faults with it or some of the things that could change. So once you get on, once you start playing with iMovie a little bit, make your movies, download them, and then show them to people. Text them to your friends and family and say, hey, watch this video, I put it together, what could change or what could be better about it? And they're gonna give you some good feedback there. That is why teamwork is so important. I edit a lot of videos and I think they're all awesome, but I need my bosses and my coworkers to be able to look at it and let me know what clips are too long or what is a bad transition. And that's ultimately going to make a better video in the end. So I've taken out all of my audio, and if I come down here to this, it's your little gear for your settings basically. If I click on that, it's going to show me some of the different options that I can do. So if I want to add a filter, I can do a black and white, video instead. But I'm going to click this fade out to black right here. I'm going to turn that on. That way at the end of our video, it's going to do that nice fade. I'm going to click on done. And I'm going to add some music again. So I'm going to click my plus button. Anytime we want to add something, just look for the plus button. I actually love using iMovie on my phone because it gives me less options. I don't have to worry about as many things. So I'm going to click on that plus, and I'm going to click on audio, and it's going to ask me, okay, well, do you want to use your music? Do you want to use some of the soundtracks that iMovie creates for people, or do you want to go through all those sound effects? I don't need the sound effects. I don't particularly want to use my music, mostly because of copyrights, right? So we know that if we're using someone else's song, we need to give them credit for it. We need to have something at the very end of that video saying this is not my music. That can kind of ruin a video, if you have to put all that text on there. So use some stock music. I love using the soundtracks that iMovie creates for you. And there's a bunch of different songs on here, and we can listen to them, we can download them. This one, Evergreen, see what that sounds like. Spam risk, you guys. This is the joys of working with your cell phone. So let's actually listen to that one again so we don't get another phone call. Works for me, right? So let's go ahead and click on that so you can hear me. But if we want to add this, we're just going to click that button right there, and we've added our audio. So now I can go through and I can watch this movie. Let's see what it looks like. Maybe a weird choice for the audio on that, but it's fine, right? So that would be a way that you'd be able to add some music behind it. Now again, I can go through and I can add in, let's go back to audio, back. You've got the option on here to do a voiceover. So this might actually come in handy with a lot of people. That was clearly a one-on-one with the Square One Small Business Librarian. So if you've ever had a one-on-one, it might look a lot like that. You're sitting down with a Square One specialist or librarian, you're at the computer, you're talking, you're asking questions. So if we wanted to put a voiceover on that video, iMovie makes it really easy. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to ask you if you're ready to record. Once you are, you'll click the record button. I'm not going to do it now because I think we're going to get a lot of feedback, but once you click record, it's going to start playing the video, and so you're able to basically dictate what you want said over this video. So maybe have a script ready to go for that, and make sure that you are able to end when your video ends. But this is going to be a great option if you are selling a product or service and you've got a good video of it and you want to tell a little bit more about it. So that's another way that you can put some audio behind it, is to just record yourself doing that. iMovie makes it really, really easy to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. And another thing that you can do with that dictation is you can make the music. If I click on that, I can make the music a little softer so it's not as loud, and my voice I can bump up a little bit so you can see the visual and you can hear my voice, but then you still have some background music, and that's what's going to make a really beautiful video. So I'm going to bump my music back up a little bit. There's a lot of stuff that we can do on iMovie. We can play with some of these buttons down here if I want to add, let's go back to this one, if I wanted to add some text. So if I wanted to do a title, I can absolutely add text to this video here. Standard, if I just type in, we're going to just click on that and we're going to edit that. We can say Square One, small business services. You know, we can really type in anything here. Get your one-on-one today. One-on-one today. This is maybe not the best title for this, or the best looking title anyway. So we can see that we've added text to it, and that's going to come up on there. Again, with any text, we can play with the color, we can play with the fonts. You've got all the options there to do that. You're just going to select it, and you're going to, select your text here. And you're going to play around with the fonts there. So that's, that's pretty basic, you guys. Again, once we're talking about one-on-ones, I want you guys to know that we've got the setup that if you start playing with iMovie and you're still confused, and I know that you probably have a bunch of questions, I'm going to go through all the comments on here after we're done and really make sure that I answer all of them. If you're still confused, I'm totally here for you. It took me a really, really long time to kind of understand the process of video editing. But reach out to me, shoot us a message on Facebook, email Square One, jump on the library's website. There's a bunch of really awesome free resources through lynda.com that can walk you through a lot of these things. But I'm also able to share my screen with you using Skype or Zoom, FaceTime, or any of these awesome video conferencing softwares. But we can edit a video together. So play around with it, get used to it a little bit. And it doesn't, we don't have to post everything that we play around with. So my challenge to you is to just play with it, learn it, get comfortable with it. And once you feel really confident in your abilities, share it with a friend. Just text them the video and say, hey, this was the first video I created with iMovie, what do you think? And get some feedback that way. But if you're still nervous, if you're still a little apprehensive about video editing, shoot us a message. It's what I've been doing for the last 4 years at the library, along with a few other things, but I've learned some tips and tricks when it comes to videos. That being said, it's been 2 weeks since my last class, and because we've had to cancel a lot of our programming, our in-person programming, until the fall, we want to make sure that we still are putting out awesome content for you guys on our Facebook page. So you're not going to see me next week, but you're going to see me the following week. And what I'm going to start doing is doing some repeat classes. Lately, I've been going at noon on Tuesdays, but I want to give people the opportunity to watch me in the evening as well. So when I normally teach, Facebook classes or social media classes, I'm usually doing those at around 6 or 6:30 in the evening in person. So I'm going to go back to an evening schedule on some of my classes as well. That being said, there's a link to a survey. Please let me know how this class was. Let me know what kind of content you guys are looking for. I hope everyone's staying safe and staying healthy. I hope we get to kind of get out a little bit more. I know a lot more things are opening up. If you haven't heard, the library is now open for curbside. So if you've got holds that you want to pick up, please call your local branch and let them know what time you want to come pick up your materials. I know the people at the branches are going to be really excited to see you, and hopefully we are able to open our doors as quickly as possible and as quickly as it's safe for everybody to do so. So let me know how I did. Please shoot me some more messages, shoot me some questions. I want to make sure that we're getting you guys the information you are looking for and what's necessary for you to help your business. That being said, I will be back in 2 weeks. It'll be an evening class, and we're going to be talking about advertising on Facebook and what content works and what content doesn't. So if you've already seen that class, that was the first one that I did when quarantine started. I want to believe it was like March 18th, March 19th. If you've already seen the class, it's the same one. If you want to join me again, come on in. I love the company. But that being said, I'm going to sign off for today. Please fill out that survey. Let me know how we did, and let us know what information we can get access for you. I'll see you guys later. Bye.